So, a very warm welcome here from Vienna. I can see the first people already in the chat room on live chat. Hello, everybody. I am here to discuss with you Rolex and a lot of things that are happening around the brand Rolex. Mostly what's going on, of course, in the case you're looking for a watch and you can't buy the watch. It's pretty difficult these days to get one, and it's pretty difficult to get the model you want, of course, the watch you want, meaning the specific type of Rolex you're probably looking for, especially if we are talking about steel models or watches. Sports category, it's almost impossible. So I'm waiting for the first questions to come up. People are saying hello to me. That's very fine. Juan Olmos, what's up, buddy? I can tell you I'm fine. Hope you too. Someone is saying SL, I love Patek and Sissy Boys. I don't know who's Sissy Boys. Good evening, Alexander, coming from Herb. Very nice. Antonio is here. Buonasera. First question, Vacheron Constantin overseas as an alternative for a Rolex. Why not? It is always a good idea to think about looking left and right. But in the end, what, guys, is the fact? You have a mindset. And your mindset is about, okay, I want to get a special model from Rolex, either Submariner, a GMT-Master, Daytona, even a regular date just in steel. And you're dreaming about the watch, you're saving money, you have been thinking about buying the watch, and then you say, okay, now the day has come, I have saved a lot of money, I'm ready, my wife is okay for going it, my girlfriend, maybe my parents want to make it want to gift me one, and you are so in your tunnel about Rolex, and you want the watch. The first thing I think you have to do is to think, are there any alternatives? There are more fish, beauty fish, swimming in the sea. And I would really ask you, first of all, to open up your mind and ask me some questions from left to right. And I will be more than happy to answer you here. What if I've already bought the GMT Pepsi for double retail? If you have done this, I would say, poor you. I would have never done it. Why? Because there's absolutely no reason to buy a watch that is that has a specific price at an official Rolex authorized dealer. This is the list price, and if you are really, let's say, crazy enough, fool enough to go and pay the double of a price, so I don't know what to say. I would have never done it, never do it, and whatever would be so important in my life, nothing could be so important that I would go and buy me a Rolex for double price. I've been just checking Chrono 24 before going online, and the prices are horrible. The prices on the markets for these requested watches are almost double of the price in the stores, and don't do it. Simply don't do it. Let's see. 50 fathoms over submarine. Now, yes, if you can afford 50 fathoms instead of a submariner, I would say yes. This for sure is an interesting alternative. It is a little bit more expensive, of course, but in the end, it's a really good alternative, and maybe a watch that will fit very nice on your wrist and also look good. So I don't see any troubles or any problems if you go for 50 fathoms. Out of the brands you visited over the years, which one stuck truly impressive? Oh, which one was really impressive? For me, the most impressive brand I've been visiting recently is, of course, Omega. It's why is this the case? Because Omega has done so much in the last years to increase quality, to increase everything. The watches are no longer, what you get today from an Omega is no longer comparable to what you have been seeing before. So the watches are done in a quality, and Omega is the only brand to offer you that absolutely anti-magnetic watch. So all the new movements of Omega have this wonderful feature to being a master chronometer, certified master chronometer. So the watches are resisting to magnetic fields bigger than 15,000 Gauss. This is pretty much so. This is really the watch or the brand I would say that impressed me most. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's too early. Someone is talking about IWC. Yes, IWC is something I would also very much recommend you to look after, especially those classical models, the Flieger chronograph, the typical pilot's watches, not those fancy ones with the gray dials, those Spitfire ones. They are too fancy for me. I would probably go more for the classical ones. And these are very nice alternatives. Also, the divers could be interesting if you are interested in so many questions. Pepsi, enjoy that Pepsi or do not care of it? Ooh. Is it most sensible to decide the complication case of a metal watch before determining a brand? Hey, too many questions. Servus aus Graz, servus zurück nach Wien, from Wien nach Graz. Hello from Marathon in the Florida Keys. Hello to the Florida Keys. I'm happy to have you here. I really like new Breguet Marine, full titanium, good affordable alternative, are pre-owned GLT-Master compressor line. Yes, if you go into pre-owned watches, this is always an alternative, and this is also a good guess. Pre-owned watch, if it is a certified pre-owned watch, will have a guarantee. It will be checked, will have been checked by the retailer you're buying it or by the company who's selling it to you. And so why not going for a pre-owned watch instead of a new one? I cannot recommend you doing this with the Rolex one we are looking for, because they are more expensive than the new ones. So, but if it comes to another brand, yes, why not going for a pre-owned one? I can very much recommend you doing this. Some watch tube guru told us that the new Rolex bubble has burst. Haha, very good. I have seen recently some retailers, especially in London, going for the first discounts on these watches. That's true. Meaning that we have seen the prices going down a little bit. That would be probably a hint, or that would probably tell us that there are too many of them on the markets. And reality is this: if you go on one of these retailers online, or if you go on one of these retailers, there are so many of these GMT Masters, of the Daytonas, of the Submariners, of the Sea Dwellers, and all those watches you are desperately looking for. And they are sold for double of the price. And little by little, I think there is some competition also coming there, because there are simply too many, and less people are willing to pay these prices. And so those who are trying to make a fortune out of their watch they just got from a retailer, and they are putting on resale to probably earn some money, they will be probably, they will have to think about to lower their prices. And I honestly I think this bubble will burst pretty soon, because Rolex will have to react, and they're doing it already, in the way that I assume them to flood the markets with products in the near future. And it's the only way how to do it, to have more products on the market and to deliver more products. And this is what they're doing. Rolex has just been buying land in Biel, that's where the movements are manufactured. And the problem Rolex has in the moment are not the cases, are not the bracelets, it's the movements. That's the bottleneck. Rolex simply does not have enough movements to fit in the watches. The demand is too big, especially when it comes to complications like the GMT-Master. The movements are missing. So Rolex has just been buying land, and they are building new factories to increase their quantities of watches they are going to sell. And it will take them, I assume, some maybe 3 years to ramp up the production. And then Rolex will be able to deliver about 30 to 35, 40 maybe % more movements. And then this will also help to bring more watches into the markets. But the main thing is, if all of you out there who probably watch me now and have already been getting one of those desired Rolex watches and been reselling it, would not have done it, then you would have had your watch, and someone else would have gotten his watch, only because mostly today Rolex has not clients but resellers. And this is the thing that is really a little bit, giving me a headache. Why is a brand not having clients but resellers? Everybody is thinking, when I get this and this watch, if I resell it, if I sell 2 of them, I can buy this and that. It's like making business, but you are not the one who should do this. It's the Rolex dealers who should sell their watches, and it's them who should really be those who make the business and not their clients. So let me see. Next interesting question. Someone is saying he's going to go for a Hublot next time. Yeah, why not? Hublot is always offering some interesting watches, especially niche watches. And if you found your little niche at Hublot, you will be satisfied, I think, with the watch that you bought. And Hublot is available. What is the best alternative to the Daytona besides Omega chronographs? Oh, the Zenith. I would very much have a look at Zenith if you are really interested in a Daytona. First of all, Zenith, I've heard, has a watch in the pipeline that will come out next year. That will have many, let's say, design characteristics as we see it on the Daytona. This is a legitimate thing doing because Zenith had a watch in its collection that looked pretty similar to a Daytona, and they will come out again with a watch that is similar. So this is an alternative, and of course you get the El Primero movement. That is a very interesting movement, and I would, if you are looking for something beside left or right of Omega and Rolex, I would very much look into Zenith. Let me see. What do you think of the Glashütte Original Panorama date? This is a question. We're in another league here. Glashütte Original, you can't compare, of course. Our theme is Rolex, so what we should talk about here is Rolex. And if someone asks me if I think what I think about Glashütte Original, let me tell you guys, Glashütte Original is a luxury manufacturer producing small quantities. You cannot at any means compare what Glashütte Original is doing with what Rolex is doing. Glashütte Original is producing some 10,000 watches, and Rolex is producing about 1 million watches a year, 1 million watches a year. So we are talking about some different issues here. Glashütte Original is manufacturing movements in a quality that are outstanding. So that's something you probably can't compare, but if you ask me what I think about, go for it. Okay, morgen schaue ich mir noch bei euch. What have we here? Good evening. What do you think about Stoba from Black Forest? Look, it's a good question. All these little brands, they do very much depend, of course, on what they can buy on the market, meaning movements, cases, and so on. If they do a good job in the terms of they are assuring you a good quality, I don't have any problems with those small brands. The only thing I would really do is, before going for a Stoba or whatever you are looking at, compare these watches with Swatch Group brands. So if you can, take both watches, have them in front of you, compare them with a watch that comes from Swatch Group in the same price range, and then you will know if the watch you are looking for, the Stoba, whatever it is called, is a good watch or not, because Swatch Group, at my opinion, is giving the benchmark and has set the benchmark in terms of telling you what you can get for the money if you want. So let's see. Good evening. This was Jean-Marc Brechbühler. I hope I answered your question, my friend. Do you think the price hike from Rolex will travel into the US? Difficult question. I can't answer. I don't know. Then someone is saying here, thoughts on AP going boutique only, no more authorized dealers. This is something now, if an authorized dealer is watching and I'm going to say what I'm going to say, he's going to throw maybe something in front of some, would probably throw something at me. Honestly, I think this was a right decision from Audemars Piguet, especially from Mr. Benamias, who decided to say, okay, that's the CEO, François Benamias, and he said, okay, why not selling those 40,000 watches I'm producing per year in my own retail network, controlling the prices, controlling those I'm selling the watches to, and of course being sure that the watches are only being sold to the persons I want to sell them to, giving my clients that new atmosphere of a boutique character. Living room is also something I very much like, and it's possible if you're only selling 40,000 watches and you know that your watches are anyhow sold year by year. Why do you need retailers in the end? Yeah, retailers will give you the possibility to choose. You can choose watches and compare them, but this is something you can do before you go to the Audemars Piguet boutique, and then you can buy your Audemars still there. So in my eyes, a very good decision. And I told Jean-François last time I saw him that this is something I very much like. I have been visiting one of these boutiques, and I very much like them. Big fan of yours from New Zealand. Wishing you and your family Merry Christmas to New Zealand. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. Wishes back here from, I'm also always looking me on my, I have to look in the camera. Sorry guys for doing that. I'm still learning because it's the first live chat I'm doing. I'm still learning. I'm looking at me in my picture and then it looks at as if I would not look at you guys. It's impolite from my side. So greetings back to New Zealand here. Love you, blow. Yes, Andres Philippe Gomez is saying Grand Seiko. Yes, Grand Seiko is something that I can recommend. It's a watch that is always worth being seen twice or even more often and being compared to any other brands. It's probably also still underestimated and has not got yet this attention it should have gotten. Hello from Canada. Hello back from Vienna, Austria. Thoughts on the direction Breitling is going. Pricing of the new models is holding steady at the IDs and boutiques are offering little to no discounts. Exciting times for the brand. Juan Olmos is asking me this. Breitling is very much also an alternative if you are into Rolex, and if you are not if you're not able to get your Rolex, you can always have a look at the Breitlings. I would anyhow recommend all of you, before you are really in your Rolex tunnel or in the tunnel of getting any of those watches you can't get, open your eyes. Take some books, take some watch magazines, go online and read about the history of other brands. And then you will discover that all the other brands, beside the brand you were so fixed on and you only wanted this one and you were so much into that brand, have a huge history, have an incredible heritage. And if you go in these stories and if you start reading these stories, you will discover that these brands are pretty interesting, maybe even very interesting. And then there are watches that are as mythical as a Daytona, they are as mythical as a Submariner, are as mythical as a GMT 1 or 2. Now you only can buy the 2, but it started with the GMT 1, as everybody knows. So you have to really go and read the history and read what happened with Omega in the time when they started to become the watch that was used by NASA to fly on the moon. If you go in these stories and if you inhale the history and the heritage of these brands, you will all of a sudden discover these brands and you will see they are at least as interesting as a Rolex is today. I always say you don't buy a watch by buying the watch because it is an investment. Buy the watch because you want the watch as an emotional thing. Fall in love with the watch and buy not rational but emotional. Forget if you earn some money and if this watch will keep value or not. You are buying something that will be on your wrist, that will share your life, that will collect stories on your wrist. It's something so emotional. It's not always necessary to get something that will also keep value or increase value in the future, because it's something you're using, you're having fun, you're sharing your life with. The watch will observe you when you're laughing, crying, when you're having sex, when you're having party, when you're drinking, when you're working. It will do everything. And this is something so incredible that it's not only necessary to get a watch that will keep value like a Rolex does in the moment. It can, but it must not. So let me go into some of the questions. Can you advise the Batman homage? Can you tell us about the background, how you got into the business? Wait a minute, let me go one by one. I have to scroll back a little bit here on the questions. Hey Alexander, this is a good one. Hey Alexander, any GMT suggestions under 1,000, 1K euro, US dollars or something? In this case, I really would say Swatch Group once again. It's because I'm convinced that if you go on the brands like Certina, Tissot, Mido, Hamilton, you will find the GMT watch probably less than for 1,000. check it on your market. Depending on which bracelet or strap the watch is manufactured, you will probably find one. It's really the Swatch Group offering in their entry price or in the starting level. Is that's the group offering watches for such an amount of money. So let me continue here. The Cartier Santos, I like the blue dial. Come on, Cartier Santos, wonderful. History, I just was talking about history here. If you go in the history of the Cartier Santos, and if you go back on that guy who wore the watch, who was given the watch by Cartier, who was that pioneer in flying, Alberto Santos Dumont. And if you go back, and if you just inhale the history, and if you just close your eyes and go back in these days, and if you discover that hero, what he has been doing, and if you read some stories, you will like to wear a Cartier. It's the Cartier Santos is one of the only Cartiers, together with a few other models, I probably would wear, because many of those Cartier watches, at least for me, are too feminine. But the Santos is a nice statement on the wrist, and yes, why not going for this one? What do you think about Paris Pet asking me, what do you think about the Omega Aquaterra? Honestly speaking, I can simply repeat myself. I'm a huge fan of Omega, very convinced that Omega is manufacturing some of the very best watches these days. And if we are talking about the 2018 model, the Aquaterra is already master chronometer certified, meaning you will get the best of the best possible technology in terms of movements. It will resist to incredible magnetic fields. It will be built in the best way, and you will get simply a gorgeous watch. So the only thing I can tell you is go. Can you tell us about the background? Wait, and here we have. Do you think the bubble on Patek Nautilus line will ever burst? Oh, very difficult questions. On the Patek, it will be even more difficult because you know that we are not talking about Rolex delivering 1 million watches, but we're talking about Patek Philippe manufacturing some 60,000 watches per year and some 30,000 plus mechanical. The rest is quartz. And then if you take those 30,000 plus watches Patek Philippe is manufacturing per year, and if you see the fact that Thierry Stern is very much into keeping up the collections and saying, okay, we have a Calatrava collection, we have a Nautilus, we have the different collections, and I want a quantity of Calatravas, a quantity of Nautilus to come to the markets per year. And then if you take the entire Nautilus range, and then you say, okay, we have gold models too, and steel, and different other models. So not too many of those Nautilus will come to the markets in the end. And I assume it will be very, very, very difficult also in the future to get a Nautilus in steel. So maybe you have a look at some of the pre-owned watches, or maybe you are lucky enough to get one of the pre-owns. I think this will stay a very difficult task to get a Nautilus in the next years, unfortunately. But you could look for an overseas of Vacheron Constantin, you could go for a Breguet Marine, and yes, you could look for a Lange & Söhne as an alternative, the Odysseus. Also there, only small quantities will be available, of course. And of course, and this is something I would very much recommend you to have a look at, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, the classic one. I'm not talking about the overseas, because as far as I have seen the situation on the market, the overseas is now available again and not so difficult to get. So if you are really into a steel luxury sport watch, probably you have a look at Audemars Piguet. So let me see. What do you think about the shortage of Rolex steel watches in the market? Coming from a Red Hat Black SF Army. Oh yes, that's a question. Yeah, that's why we are here discussing. The shortage is easily to explain. People, due to the fact that you aren't getting any interest in the bank, that you need to look for some alternatives to spend your money or invest your money. People seek for items to buy that keep or will increase the value once they have it. So Rolex is among those goods It's good for the brand that you buy, and yeah, you will keep the value. And this is the reason a lot of people try to get a Rolex, to invest in a Rolex, and to also have something they have done an investment with that will keep the value. It's not said that other brands will not keep the value, but I've just been reading an article on the weekend in an Austrian newspaper that referred to an article of a newspaper out in Munich where they were complaining about the Rolex shortage in Munich, and this is that is really catastrophic. Seen there that people are almost fighting to get one. Why? Because people want to invest, they have money, the banks aren't giving them any interests, and so people want to do an investment, they want to put something nice on the wrist. That's why they are looking for Rolex watches. And as already said before, Rolex is producing some 1 million watches in the moment, together with Tudor 1.2 million, and the actual demand for Rolex is about 2 million watches. That's figures I got from from Switzerland, from people working for banks and for investment companies, telling me that the demand is about 2 million watches. So it will take a while that Rolex will be able to deliver all these watches to the markets. Good. Thank you, Alexander. I bought it last week. What did you buy? You didn't say. What is an alternative to the Milgauss? That's a good question. There is one alternative. Every new Omega being certified as a master chronometer is an alternative, because the Milgauss is the only watch Rolex officially certifies to resist 1000 Gauss of magnetic fields. And yes, Omega, if it is a certified master chronometer, and all the movements meanwhile are certified master chronometers, even the Speedmaster has now got a new movement that is also master chronometer certified, meaning built in a way that there is no possibility to disturb the precision or the accuracy by even very strong magnetic field, and we are going up to 15,000 Gauss. So yeah, that's an alternative for every Milgauss. Take an Omega, it's 15,000 Gauss, it's 15 times more. I hope I answered your question. When will you do your watch collection? Never. That's something I can tell you now, because I'm not going public with anything of my watch collection. Ein paar spontane Wörter über Jean-Claude Biver. Oh, someone is asking me to say something spontaneous about Jean-Claude Biver. Wow, just wow. He is the most charismatic manager I think the industry ever had. And yeah, he is a guy that everything he touched in his life made to gold. And I think he still has the power to touch still things and is still able to make them to gold as well. So my big respect, chapeau, hats off to Jean-Claude Biver. I forgot the Vacheron Constantin. The Vacheron featuring Everest is amazing. Yeah, about Vacheron Constantin, anyhow, I can say nothing negative. Just is have a close look to the brand. Vacheron Constantin is manufacturing some really gorgeous watches, especially the overseas. If you're into sports watches, is a watch that is very much underestimated. And I really would recommend you to have a second, third, or fourth look and to get it on your wrist, try it, and then see how the watch fits on your wrist. Then yes, there's something. Hi, Alex. Hello. I'm happy to have you. Gloria runs here. Luke L. Message retracted, unfortunately. Do you think Rolex is missing out on opportunity costs? In other words, this shortage is causing people to buy other brands. Rolex is leaving cash on the table by not fixing this issue. That's a very good question coming from Rafa. I will read it out once again. Do you think Rolex is missing out on opportunity costs? In other words, this shortage is causing people to buy other brands. Rolex is leaving cash on the table by not fixing this issue. There's one thing Rolex could do is that Rolex could ask the prices the secondary market is asking for the watches, but I think this is not what Rolex is or Rolex intention is, because the Rolex is fixing the prices for the watches on a reliable, or let's say on a way that is realistic. If you take the price for a GMT Master, the GMT Master actually is sold for 8,500 euros. Here in Austria or in Germany, the same. And this is including here in Austria 20% value-added tax. So 8,500 euros for such a watch is a realistic price, and what you get for 8,500 euros is simply amazing. So you don't get more than 8,500 in my opinion, and you don't get less. So if Rolex now would start to ask 16,000 for a GMT Master in steel, Rolex would be all of a sudden in a range like Patek Philippe or brands like Audemars Piguet or Vacheron Constantin or other brands, and I don't think that this is the area where a Rolex should be sold. Rolex is perfectly positioned. The value for money, if you pay the correct price for Rolex, is sensational. Other brands do have to and always had to adjust also in the past their prices to the price level of Rolex, and it's something you simply can only solve by increasing the amount of watches produced and selling more to the retailers and flood the markets. And when there are enough watches on the markets for the price, and if you sell them for regular prices, and if you kill the gray market, and if you kill those guys who are opportunistically reselling their Rolexes, then we will have enough Rolex, and you guys and also me probably in the future will be also able to buy a Rolex for a normal price, and the price Rolex is asking is fair. It's not exaggerated. So yeah, and if you're asking me if they're leaving money, yeah, they can't produce anymore. So everything they are selling is sold. I've been to the retailers here in Vienna just last week and talking to them, and what they told me is whatever they get is sold in a week. So they have to really keep back some watches to be able to decorate the shop windows. And the most crazy thing I've been seeing here in Vienna last week is at the Bucherer boutique here, and there was a GMT Master, there was a Daytona, and there was a Submariner in the window, and there was a little sign telling only for decoration purposes. So the watches were not for sale. They were just in the shop window to show that these watches exist, but you couldn't buy them. So this is how the situation is actually, and it's a bit weird, I would say. And yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, let's go on here. Predictions on someone is asking me predictions on Rolex Battle World 2020. I have no idea. Gentlemen, sorry for asking me, but I have honestly no idea. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe announcing that they will have more watches on the market in the future, but I can't tell you if they are what they're going to do. I have absolutely no idea. No idea. That's some collection of VIP badges behind you. Once of everyone. Zodiac, yes, for Zodiac the same applies what I told before to someone else asking me for Stova. Please do me one favor before buying one of these brands, always compare to Swatch Group and be sure if your Zodiac watch will be as good as a watch from Swatch Group, then buy it. If not, buy the one from Swatch Group. It's very easy because Swatch Group is really setting the benchmark. And if you are spending whatever 1,000 euros or hundreds of euros for a Zodiac, compare if you can get a better watch at Swatch Group, and if you can, don't buy the Zodiac. Very nice. Uhrenratgeber is asking me, hi, by the way, Girard-Perregaux, an underestimated brand? Yes, very much, I would say, but I also have to admit that Girard-Perregaux did some big mistakes in the past by not showing a certain continuous development in their collections. Girard-Perregaux was jumping from left to right, from up to down, and did so many mistakes also in their collections. Now what they're doing is much better. The Laureato would be a good guess also if you're looking for a alternative to one of the steel watches of Rolex, because the watches are in a price range that if you would save some additional money or go on the secondary market and a pre-owned market, you can find the Laureato for a good price. And I would say this is a very good watch, looks good, has history, is part of those group of luxury watches that were all developed in the same time, had the same purpose, to be different to those watches with a leather strap. And it's a very good watch with an in-house movement, and I would very much recommend you also to have a look at Girard-Perregaux. Why not? The only thing, and this is really something that is a bit disappointing for me, is that they have not yet learned to communicate correctly. They have not yet been able to show what they can. And I do miss a certain leadership there. There's one CEO now, being the CEO of Ulysse Nardin and for Girard-Perregaux, and I'm not sure if this is the right decision, but this is not me to decide. This is the decision of Kering and not mine. I believe Rolex is increasing their prices in January. Yes, this is true. I've heard some 6 or 7%. This is true. Do you believe Rolex will start increasing their prices in a faster pace to cope with the premium price? If they double the prices, I don't think Rolex will ever double the prices to cope with that, what is asked for Rolex on the secondary market. Never, ever. Because as I just explained some minutes before, I don't know if you have heard it, Rolex has a certain standing for a certain price, but you can't sell a GMT-Master in steel for 16,000 plus euros. This is much too expensive for such a watch. 8,500, maybe 9,000 in the future if they are rising the prices is okay, but not more. I would never pay so much for a GMT-Master. Yes, that's true. Uhrenratgeber, once again, here says, yes, wait for 2020. That we have a very interesting Zenith. That's what I just said before. Zenith is coming out with some very interesting watches. That's correct. Rolex is increasing the prices every year. Nothing new. Yes, I just said it. They are going to increase the prices in the next weeks. But anyhow, you can't get the watch now, so you will have to cope with those new prices if you want to get one. Yes, normally they did it. They do it in October, and they didn't. Yes, they don't have anything to sell anyway, so they maybe couldn't wait. Is industry right for him? Profit, creative, limited editions, bubbles? No. No, Daniel B. No. I totally disagree. Daniel, he posted 643 just some minutes ago, and he's writing, Jean-Claude Biver is a watch industry destroyer. It works for him to make profit. Creator of limited edition bubbles. His student is now CEO of Rolex destroyer. No, absolutely wrong. Jean-Claude Biver is not a destroyer, not at all. Jean-Claude Biver is a guy who was really emotionalizing the watch industry in the best way he could, and telling people not to buy an object as an investment, but to buy an emotional object, to enjoy and to live the passion that the watchmakers put in a watch. And he has done a lot of limited editions with Hublot, but this is true. But this is the business model of Hublot. Hublot is looking for its niches, and when Hublot found its niche, Hublot will then fit in the niche and sell a limited edition for everyone who's seeking for this limited edition. And I'm telling you, this is a good business model, because you always find someone you can make a special edition for. And so if, for instance, you, Daniel B, would want a special edition from Hublot, and you would be, for instance, I don't know, a sportsman, or you would have a restaurant, or you would run any other business, and you would ask them to make a limited edition, they will probably do it for you in a limited edition of 100, 150, 200, 500 pieces, and then you would sell your watches. And this is a business model. Other brands are not doing it. Hublot is doing it. And I do absolutely not share your opinion your opinion with Jean-Claude Biver. He has destroyed nothing. In contrary, he was the one who brought back a lot of passion in the industry, who was one of the first to sell mechanical watches after the quartz crisis, together with a few others, who was bringing back the mechanical watch on the wrist by telling people that this is an emotional object, an art object, and not just something you put on your wrist to pimp up your wrist. So disagreed, sorry. Uhrenrad, what have we here? Hello, Alexander. Blue Shirt Buddha. Hello, back. It's good to have you on the. Normally I only see your comments, and it's good to have you here. ADs can't rise their prices unless Rolex does. Of course, they are official retailers, so those retailers will have to follow what Rolex is telling them. So true. Hublot, when start costs making Big Bang ETA movements, whatever, now they have. Yeah, that's how it is. Hublot was another brand when it was owned by Carlo Crocco in the very first days, but also you have to say something. If Jean-Claude Biver and Ricardo Guadalupe wouldn't have come, I think Hublot would no longer exist today, because what Carlo Crocco did in the end was not really successful, and they bought a good name, a good idea, a brand that was one of the first to mix rubber straps with metal cases, and the two, especially Jean-Claude Biver, with his genius, he brought Hublot to what it is today. So yes, they do cost more today. Yes, because they are a luxury brand. Yes, because they have the in-house movement, and yes, they are positioned to cost 10,000 and more euros, and people pay the amount. So it's natural. We are talking about a luxury object, and people will only, our brands will only be able to ask the money people are willing to pay. And if people are willing to pay 15,000 for an Hublot, then why not selling it for 15,000? So Rolex dealers in Saudi Arabia are acting exactly like the gray dealers. All sports models are sold way above retail. The official ADs, not sure if this is allowed. If they are doing it, try to get evidence of it and report it to Rolex in Geneva, and I'm sure they will quickly stop these things, because this is absolutely not something I can imagine that Jean-Fred Dufour or any other Rolex manager wants to see one of his authorized dealers doing. So if you have evidence, and if you can buy from an official retailer a watch for more, then buy it and send it back, or try to get all proofs and let Rolex know in Geneva, and they will do what's necessary. Hopefully Zenith will reissue the Luca. I hope so too. Many Zenith people, many people around Zenith have been recommending this for a long time, so I hope too. What is zero? Yeah, someone says zero value on the secondary market about Zenith. Yes, oh my goodness, always these same discussions. First of all, that's not true, because also Zenith models do have the value on the secondary markets. And then second, why do you always need to buy a watch only then if it has a value on the secondary market? Most of the brands and most of the watches of the brands do not have that increasing or that incredible value on the secondary market. It's only a very few brands. Rolex, of course, and they're also not all models go double in the price. It's only a few of them who double the price on the secondary markets, and even a Patek Philippe. Not all watches you can sell for the double of a price. It's only the peak of the pyramid, and there you have a 1%. It's those special editions, those requested steel sport watches. And if you go in any other brand, you will have a loss, of course, when you go out of the store. Except when you're buying a limited edition or a special watch, many people are looking for. But this is something that is part of luxury. If you buy, you pay a price that the luxury good is able to get on the market, and this price necessarily does not mean that you will be able to get again when you resell the product. But you are still buying an emotional product. You're buying art. You're buying something special. So forget People, please forget these endless thinking about reselling and getting a millionaire by reselling 20 Rolex watches. Come on, people, buy something you want. You have been saving the money. You have been, I don't know, working hard to get this money and to be able to spend that money, and buy something you like. Make yourself the favor and buy something you like, you enjoy. Buy something you have fun with, and don't only think about reselling. Who cares about reselling? I told this before in the beginning of this live chat. You are buying an emotional product. That product will be on your wrist. It will share your life. It will share your emotions. It will be there when you cry, when you laugh, when you eat, when you have fun, when you drink, when you drop, when you fell down, when you have sex. It will be there whenever you want it to be, and it will collect histories, collect adventures, collect stories with you. And this is what makes a watch so interesting. I do own some old watches, and I have been asked recently from someone. It's a nice and quick story. So it was about a Rolex GMT-Master I own. It's a watch I have since the 1980s. And this watch was on my wrist for many, many years. I've been traveling with the watch. The watch is really, it's really like a big safe of emotions for me, like a big safe of things I went through. I have had so many adventures and so many funny and sad things with the watch. Someone asked me, I was standing and waiting at the gate to fly back to Vienna, and at the other gate, just beside me, a man was staring at my wrist, and then he came and said to me, "Hey, Alexander," oh, he didn't know me, but we started talking, and then he said, "Okay, do you want to sell me the watch? I will pay everything you want because I'm looking for that GMT-Master II with the Pepsi, blah, blah." And I said, no, whatever you are offering me, I will not sell you the watch. Because first of all, this watch is so loaded with emotions and so intensely loaded with me, with my personal life. So I will never sell it, whatever you are offering me. And he went up to almost 20,000 euros because he was desperately looking for a GMT Master, because I told him, yes, I have the papers, and yes, I have the box, and yes, I have the original guarantee and everything. The watch is in a perfect, is looking perfectly, it's serviced. So it looks almost new, and no way he could have offered me 30,000 euros and I would have not sold it, because it's my watch and it's so much filled with my emotions. And every time I look on the wrist and on the dial of my GMT Master, I simply can hear the watch telling me a story, telling me and reminding me of something we both already went through. So think about this and not only about reselling a watch. Okay, what we have here? Great watch here, military Longines 1938 military heritage. Yes, probably you have seen the video I've been making. Good value for money. Yes, with the Unitas movement, you can do better, I would say. Then Obad is writing, only Rolex, Patek, and Audemars Piguet hold the value. All other brands are garbage. Oh my goodness, why garbage? Why are you saying garbage? First of all, I could prove you that this is not true, because there are many watches from other brands that also hold the value, and maybe you just have heard me telling that story about these emotions, and I could tell you a story that is equally to the one I've been just telling you about my GMT Master with a Speedmaster I own, and this Speedmaster probably will have not kept its value, or I don't care if it kept its value. And I would say only a few watches do this, keep the value, and the rest do not, because it's how it is. It's a watch, and there is demand and there is no demand. Some watches there is more demand in the moment, for other watches there's less demand. And I'm really, it's embarrassing me when I read such comments that they are garbage. They are not garbage. There's no one singular garbage watch on the market, Swiss made or even made in Japan or Germany. These watches are all at a very, very good quality level. There's no garbage. There are some little differences, but it's not everything about keeping value. It's also about buying something you probably like, and not only buying because it's a Rolex or a Patek or a Audemars Piguet. Please explain to us why you should be Swatch Group products from. Please explain to us why you should be Swatch Group products from the AD when you can get the same watch new hefty discount from a grey dealer on Chrono 24. This is something you don't have to ask me, but the Swatch Group. If this is the case, you should complain with the brands, and I think Swatch Group is actually very much working on it to kill these companies or these authorized dealers to sell into the gray market. I've heard that Longines has closed a lot of retailers in Italy recently, and also Omega is working very much on it. And yes, it might have been or was a problem, and I know that Swatch Group is very much aware of the problem, and they're working on it. And I personally would recommend everyone from the industry watching this live chat here to do its homework, because the one thing that is really killing everything is the gray market. These are those retailers selling, or those guys buying watches and reselling them to the gray market. This is the killer of luxury. This is the killer of every emotion, and this is the killer of everything. So if this is a business model, then good night, everyone. And goodbye, everyone. I would say go and kill the gray market, kill those Chrono 24, kill all those resellers as quick as possible, and strengthen your authorized dealers. And if you're not able to do it with your authorized dealers, go and sell only through your own boutiques, but control your retail. This is something, a recommendation I would give everyone here, not only to the Swatch Group. So someone is saying that's a good one. You want your collection be public? Herb, I like how you don't want your collection to be public, so you hide it behind your cuff. Yes, you see, I'm not showing it. It's my private collection, so I'm not talking about the watches I'm wearing too much. I have my private show. Yes. Someone is making a joke, because I was just saying, make your own history with your watch, and probably you will wear your watch also when you have sex. And this can be, I don't know, everyone will decide to wear a watch or not. I have my personal preferences doing it or not, and I think everybody else will have it. But in the end, this is not the question of only having sex with a watch, but having a watch on your wrist that will, with the years, with the months and weeks you're wearing it, collect a lot of things you are doing with it. And then it's kind of like a little box you have on your wrist. Every time you look at it, it will tell you a story. Best places to buy a watch in Vienna, depending what kind of watch you're looking for. I would recommend you Schulin if you are going in the first district, Hübner. You can go to Bucherak. You can also go to Wagner. You can go to Köck. That's a very nice one too. And yes, you can also go to Wempe. So all the big names I just named are of course recommendations I would give you. If you're looking for Rolex, it will be very difficult anyhow, because most of the retailers who are authorized dealers don't have any stock at all. Hi, Alexander. This is Red Atticus has been asking me, hi, Alexander, what is the best watch to buy below $5,000 and below $15,000? Your suggestions. Wow. Below 5,000 and below 15,000. Below 15,000, if you can get it, I would name Rolex, of course, but very difficult. But I was also very much name Omega these days. Omega is a very good choice to go for. Below $5,000, difficult, but once again, I have to repeat myself, go and look for the Swatch Group brands. And in the price range below $5,000, I also would very much recommend you to have a look at Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer is offering some incredible watches for really, let's say, competitive prices too. I don't know if I've answered your question in... Then Forts and Patek weekly weekly caliber. The Forts and Patek in general, the only fault I can have on Patek Philippe is a great brand, exciting brand. I think every collection, once a while, there should be a Patek. There's nothing else I can say. Yes, then someone has been a bit rude here, calling retailers a word I don't want to repeat. We are not going to show this comment. I don't want to see that here. Thoughts on Hodinkee becoming AD for many brands, whilst being in the watch journalism industry. You know, everybody has to do his choice. I would ask you to write an email to Benjamin Clymer and ask him why he's doing this. He will probably answer you correctly, as he is a very friendly and humble guy, and I think Benjamin will give you the appropriate answers. My intention is to grow WatchAdvisor to become an interesting channel for you guys out there, to get accurate information, hands-on videos, to be the first to know, to learn, to share my passion with you. The one thing we are not going to do is to sell watches here. This is not my intention, and I don't think we are planning this. No one at WatchAdvisor is planning this. What I want to grow is a community, so I all invite you out there. Please, first of all, subscribe to our channel. Be sure to get the notifications, to hit the bell, and to be active when it comes to community issues, to comment, to be active in between the community. This is something I very much would like to grow and to build with you. And what we are going to concentrate on in the next year is events. As we started to do one event with Jäger LeCoultre last year, I called it from digital to analog, and I have something in the pipeline coming up with Tag Heuer. So we're planning something. There's something planned with Glashütte Original, and once people will come to Glashütte, I want to extend this and visit not only Glashütte Original, but also Lange und Söhne and Nomos, probably, if they are interested in you guys. And this is the things I want to concentrate on. I want to be here for you, answering your questions, being your expert, sharing my passion with you, and not so much reselling watches. This is what we are into. And yes, the rest, please ask Benjamin Clymer and say hello to him from my side. Yes, now you know that I own a Speedmaster and a GMT-Master. Of course I do own some watches, why not? What is here? I spent money. This is a good one. Tommy Lee. Tony Lee is... Okay, I want to show this. This is a funny one. Okay, come on. Tony Lee just said, I spend money for sex and wear a Casio. Why not have fun, Tony? This is a good one. WatchAdvisor, that was good. I can find them. Retailers, yes. As nice, but still can get, wait, and Richard Carr again. I think people like my little emotional comments on what you can do with your watch, and I said, okay, watch will collect your stories, and yes, I will show this. This is nothing to hide here. Yes, watches and sex best emotions. Well said, Alexander. Why not? We're having we are all human beings, so we don't have to hide behind our whatever it is. Then here, interesting. Hamilton is excellent, great watch, but Grand Seiko takes watchmaking to an exceptional level. This is the ongoing discussion. Is Seiko better than the Swiss watches? I would, all those out there discussing this, and all the Seiko boys, as I call them, whenever we are putting any new stories online, there are these typical Seiko guys, Seiko boys coming up and also always writing, Seiko is better, Seiko is better. Yes, I have visited Seiko and I've seen them manufacturing their watches in Morioka. And yes, it's impressive. It's impressive what they're doing, but I would recommend you buy a Japanese watch, buy a German watch, buy a Swiss watch, and then you have all the free one from the three major countries these days manufacturing wristwatches, and then you're happy. So then the discussion will be not as cruel as it is sometimes. Yep. Tudor. What about Tudor? Yes, Tudor is something I would very much recommend you to have a closer look at. But what I have learned is that also the Tudor models, like the Tudor GMT they have been presenting last year in Basel, is also sold out and only available through a waiting list. But the Tudor GMT is a gorgeous watch, is really fantastic. And I'm thrilled what Rolex is planning, or the owner, the big sister Rolex is planning to do with Tudor. They really have big plans, and they want to increase the value, the watches made on Tudor from 200,000 to 300, 400,000 watches. And I think if they continue to do to offer such a quality for such a price, they're able to do this. And the most important thing they have done in the last years was to finally get Tudor out of the shade of Rolex and to develop Tudor to become an own brand, an interesting brand with an own heritage. And everybody who knows a bit about watchmaking knows that Tudor has incredible heritage. And so it was only necessary to bring out the heritage and to point out that this is not just an occasion entry price level for Rolex, for those who can't get a Rolex or can't buy it because they don't have the money, but it is an own brand. And if they are continuing to stay there where they are, I guarantee you Tudor will be a brand competing in the next years with a lot of brands out there, e.g. with Tag Heuer, with Breitling, with the entry price level of Omega for sure, and with many others that are in the same price level. And Tudor will for sure deliver good quality and very interesting prices. So good. Okay. Yeah, someone complaining about Seiko here. Come on, guys, stop it. This is Alexander, do you still own? Yes, I still own Uhrnet. So what's going on? What's your opinion on Cartier watches? Would you suggest buying new or vintage? On Cartier, I would suggest to buy new, because I don't know what you're looking for. If you are interested in buying, let's say, masculine watch, you have to buy a new Cartier, because the old Cartier watches were a little bit small, and some of them in the look a little bit feminine. But yes, you could collect some really old Cartier watches. Why not? Because they are getting very much sought after these days, and I expect also there will be a Cartier price increase on the secondary market coming very soon, because there are some very iconic watches out there. So if you are looking, or if you are seeking to buy one of them, go now and don't wait too long. And if you're going for a new one, yes, there are beautiful Cartier watches these days, and have a look at their collections, and go in a Cartier boutique and check out what they have on the markets, either sports sides or on a more elegant side. Anyway, Cartier watches are done in a very good quality, and you get value for money for sure. And yeah, why not? Lange and Söhne, your thoughts about the Odysseus. Please go and check out my video. I've been bashed a lot in the early days when they came out with the Odysseus. I'm very positive about this Odysseus watch, because it is a watch that has its own character, and there is absolutely I have no doubt that this watch will be very successful and also sell very well. Thoughts on Sinn watches? Yes, very good value for money. I very much like what they're doing. They are really offering incredible quality. What I very much like at Sinn is that they have been developing technologies that have nothing to do with just buying a movement and fitting it into a case. So they're really putting some added value on their watches, and they have been very creative in developing technologies to keep the inside of the movement dry, the oiling and so on, anti-magnetic watches. So yes, I like the brand, and since the brand is mostly sold through a depot and not through authorized retailers, the watches are also sold for better prices, because they are sold for almost for the fabric price. So the absolute Lieblingsuhr, my absolute favorite watch is the Omega Speedmaster. Very clearly, this was the first watch I bought when I when I had the money. And yes, some people will be astonished when I'm telling them now that I was at a retailer here in Vienna, and he was showing me also some Daytonas that are worth 100,000 more these days. Yes, type of the Paul Newman Daytona, the old Daytona chronographs, and he showed me the Speedmaster, and I decided to go for a Speedmaster. Yeah, that's because I simply love the watch. I love the history. I wanted always to have a Speedmaster on my wrist, and I'm a big fan of the Omega Speedmaster, and I would say this is my favorite watch by no means. Yeah, good. Philippe Dufour recommends, this is interesting, where is that comment? Philippe Dufour is recommending, okay. You think people should just move away? This is so much more interesting pieces outside Rolex. Yes, I repeat the question of Andres Felipe Gomez. I think people should just move away. There's so much more interesting pieces outside of Rolex. Yes, I agree. I will just quickly come back to what I already said before. People, please do me a favor, dig into the history of other brands, buy books, buy catalogs, go on the internet, read stories on the different websites who are dealing with watches, and just learn about the history of the other brands, of Dag Heuer, of Zenith, of Cartier, of Officine Panerai, and all. There are so many brands, IWC, Schaffhausen, mythic brands out there. They have so much history. They have at least as much history as Rolex has, as Patek has, and as Audemars Piguet has. And just learn and discover these brands, and then you will see that they are at least as interesting as those three always mentioned brands. And then you will probably fall in love with a Speedmaster, as I did in the past, or you will fall in love with a nice Zenith El Primero, or you will fall in love with a Panerai Radiomir whatsoever, with an IWC Flieger chronograph. There are so many iconic watches, so it's not only take away your, open up your mind, and then you will be happy. France is a big country for watches too, not just Germany. Yes, the Frenchies do also manufacture some watches, but I would have not mentioned them in the same league as the Swiss, the Japanese, and the Germans. Yes, the Seiko fanboys. Yes, which is your favorite independent watchmaker? My favorite independent watchmaker, I have three to mention: the Resance, Max Büsser and Friends, and Moser in Neuhausen, close to Schaffhausen. Moser, Max Büsser, MB&F, and Resance are my favorite independent watchmakers. So, very good. Alexander, where is the future of Zenith, and how do you think Julien Tournat is shaping it for the future in the face of competition from Rolex and Omega? Red Atticus asked me this. Easy answer. I would recommend Julien to bring out more attractive models in the segment where the other brands are successful, to concentrate on what he can do best. The best he can do is manufacturing the El Primero. He now has also a new version of the El Primero that is a little bit bigger, so he can fit it into bigger cases without to have the problem that everything is so much centered. The date, everything is centered if you put it into a bigger case. If I would be Julien, I would stop doing those watches, skeletonized watches, even if they sell good. That's not my cup of coffee. I prefer a watch with complete dial, with a closed dial. If you want to open up movement, open it up, or show the watch movement from the backside. And yeah, just go and do what Zenith was always best in doing, in having nice chronographs with good value for money on the markets, and this will help Zenith to be and to come there where it will have to become back again. I don't think Julien should invest money in any actors or crazy stuff like others are doing, because I don't think anybody out there will buy Zenith more if there is a famous actor wearing one. I think Zenith should show what it is able to do, and on the one hand side, and yes, I would very much recommend Julien to focus much more on the 1/10 of a second, since it's the only chronograph built in such quantities who is able to measure the 1/10 of a second. Tudor GMT, my AD called me yesterday. I just flew there and it's really amazing. A good point. Yes, congratulations. Congratulations to you picking up your GMT from Tudor. I, from the bottom of my heart, wish you that this GMT will always show you happy seconds, minutes, and hours, so you will smile with it and put the watch on your wrist and now start collecting your personal history of the watch, and I'm sure you will have a lot of fun with it. Alex, can you give me your opinion on watch sizes? Seems like most brands are coming out with sizes 40 millimeters and under. Big watch craze coming to an end. Yes, this is true. I fully agree. The appropriate size for watch now is in between 38 and 42 millimeters. Everything that is really selling well, if it's a new design, is about 40 millimeters, and if it is historical re-editions or watches we have seen in the past before, 38, 39 millimeters are fine sizes. The really big ones are less attractive than they were, but there's still a market, since I know that brands like Panerai are still good selling those big watches, especially now to the Asians. Some might be astonished now, but this is true. And new generations of young people living in Asia, especially also in China, are now the first generation that are really doing differently than their parents, and they also want to show that they are different than their parents, and they're no longer following the rules their parents told them to follow. So in the past they were wearing this and that and doing this and that, and now they want to emancipate, and they are really they want to show their own personality, and this is also by wearing big watches. So I know that especially Panerai is selling really good in China mainland. China, I'm talking about China mainland. Opinion about, yes, thanks Alex, to go to head into a meeting. I have a Merry Christmas. Yes, Luke, bye-bye. I'm happy to have you, that you were here. How is your analysis on Breitling under George Kern's direction? Yes, he is very much depending on the Chinese market. If he's able to establish the brand on the Chinese market, he will be successful. If not, we will see. It will take more time on the traditional European markets and the traditional Breitling markets until people will understand what he's doing. He has changed the direction of Breitling. Breitling was a very niche brand before, and George has opened up the brand to be, let's say, a more attractive brand for a bigger audience. And now people have to accept this, and people have to see and try the watches on the wrists and discover the brand to be also attractive in a segment where the brand was not very active before, because the owners before, the family Schneider, didn't like to do too much re-editions, and they focused very much on the Navi timer and, you know, on all these huge black watches that could easily go on any wrist of any soldier. Yep, it's a shame Cartier puts only quartz in a lot of their watches. I disagree. Cartier is having a lot of mechanical movements in their watches. So please do your homework, and I would recommend you go to our Cartier boutique and ask them to show you mechanical wristwatches, and you will be astonished how many have a mechanical movement. A good alternative homage to the Rolex Batman. Have a look at some of the Seamaster watches from Omega, the Seamaster Aquaterra watches, the GMT watches. I like them very much, and yes, why not? So the only brand I would really, in an absolutely one-to-one comparison, recommend you to have a look at, if it is GMT-Master, is Omega. So have a look at Omega. So, favorite new release of 2019? Boom, very difficult. I still am a huge, the favorite release I would say is the A. Lange & Söhne Odysseus, because it's a watch I personally didn't expect at all. So I was very surprised that Lange really went so far away from everything we used to see. But I'm still a very, very, very big fan of what Bulgari did the last years, presenting those Octo Finissimo watches, these ultra-thin watches. And they have gone through an automatic, and this year they presented a chronograph, even offering a second zone time indication. So the watch that really surprised me recently is the Octo Finissimo by Bulgari, and I've been writing this a couple of times also in the commentary section here, that if you are considering every decade in the watch industry, every decade there's one iconic design that comes out, and I would say that the decade of this decade is the decade of the Octo Finissimo from Bulgari, and well done to them, and every watch that comes out is stunningly beautiful. So why do you think Rolex changed the colors on the GMT-Master II Pepsi bezel to why? I know there is that version 1 and 2, and those versions 1 or those with the first color distance now are even more expensive than the other ones. I personally think the issue why they did it is because it's a really a headache to manufacture this bezel in red and blue. And if you take a Rolex bezel, and you will see there is absolutely there is no line. You almost think that the red color is fluently going into the blue color, and to be able to manufacture this is really a headache. And I think the reason was that they had issues with the color before to guarantee an ongoing flow of bezels being ready and manufactures this ceramic inlay. I think this is the reason, technical reason only. I don't think Rolex is doing this by any other intention than a technically intention. And honestly speaking, I need to drink something because I've been talking pretty much here. Yes, what I would say is there's only a technical reason and no other reason. So happy for those who have one of the first series with that I think was a little bit darker red, and now it's a little bit of a lighter red. So congratulations, or happy for those who have one. But there's no intention of changing the color, only a technical reason. Yeah, this is a good question. Wait, we're jumping around here. Yes, do you think Roger Smith, Daniel's Corkshire escapement? I don't know. Honestly, that's a good question. I've been asked, what do you think of Roger Smith and his future development of the Daniel coaxial escapements? Honestly, I am not into the subject. I can't answer the question. Then what do you views on Rolex AD waiting lists? As far as I can tell you, on the European markets where I'm living here in Austria and Vienna. The Rolex dealers do no longer take any reservations because their lists are now about 6 years. And if someone comes into the store or into the boutique and wants to be put on a waiting list, he's no longer being put there. And I think this is a good decision, because you're only frustrating customers if you put them on a list and you wait 6 years. Come on, forget it. Buy something else. Why do you think Rolex? Yeah, we had this already. I prefer the Breitling Super Ocean to the Rolex Submariner. Yes, the Breitling Super Ocean is an alternative. Why not? In the end, the thing is, go into the history of Breitling and see that this is a watch they have not been inventing in the last years, but this has its history. And yes, and go and try the watch, put it on the wrist, and you will discover this is a nice watch. What do I think about Rado? Yes, Rado has been changing a lot in the last years, from a niche brand, very design-oriented brand, and now very much focusing on more contemporary, or let's say easier designs to be absorbed on the markets, and the development of the brand is good. They are keeping their position in being the brand manufacturing the most durable cases in terms of ceramics. The brand is very creative and innovative in ceramics, and is fitting those new watches with a lot of mechanical movements coming from this watch group. So I am very pleased and happy to see what they're doing. Asians with 46 millimeter Panerai. Yes, you're thinking, yeah, Law, you're laughing, but this is true. The people selling Panerais, the guy who's in charge, who's the vice president, and who is the worldwide chief of sales at Panerai, recently told me that they are incredibly selling Panerai in the China mainland. And believe me, people are changing there, and they are going for bigger sizes. And I'm hearing this also from other brands. So these people now, the young generation, is really trying to be different, and they are trying to have those watches on their wrists. If it looks funny or not, this is something different we can discuss. Yes. My thoughts about Parmigiani Fleurier. Go for it if you have the chance to buy a pre-owned Tonda. It's absolutely a gorgeous watch with a beautiful movement, and you get value for money. So go for it. Absolutely no regrets here. How would you compare the strength of Patek Philippe versus Vacheron Constantin? What type of buyer do they attract respectively? The difference is probably this one, that Vacheron Constantin is a brand where you, as the one who wears the watch, will have to be, or you will have to tell more stories than if you wear a Patek Philippe. In terms of quality and so on, I would say as long as the Vacheron Constantin has a Geneva seal, it is on the same level as a Patek Philippe. I don't see big differences here. That what Vacheron Constantin is recently doing is absolutely gorgeous. They have also a lot of in-house movements, new in-house movements. They are fitting into their cases. Vacheron is the smaller brand. Vacheron probably is the more sophisticated brand in terms of wearing and being necessary. Or you will have to tell some stories. If you wear an overseas, you will have to tell the story of the overseas, because not everyone will know the overseas quickly. If you wear an Nautilus, everybody will say, he's wearing an Nautilus, and know all the story. If it's the wrong or the right story, you don't know, but he will know a story. So if you ask me, these days I would go for a Vacheron Constantin. Okay. Alexander, I'd like to see a Zenith with a weekly calendar. So you want a watch that is indicating you, giving you the calendar weeks. This is something we can tell Julia, but there are only a few brands making those weekly calendars. Anyhow. People are getting rude again here. Please, come on, guys, stay calm. It's not necessary. Predictions for interesting new watch releases in 2020. Difficult to say at this point because everything is, as you know, now concentrated end of April, beginning of May. Basel World is end of April, and the SIHH, or now called Watches and Wonders, is in May. It's too early to say, but I would expect more re-editions. I would expect more vintage look type watches. I would expect probably more smaller sizes and less huge, let's say, watches. This is something I would expect. Re-editions, a lot of re-editions. It's something that is so cool. People want those watches. Maybe this is also a proof that there's a lack of creativity, actually, and I would say there is a certain lack of creativity. But due to the fact that people are so much going into vintage watches in general, they're also very much appreciating those old watches, and they want to see newer watches look the same as the vintage one do. And so I would expect more vintage re-editions to come on the markets. Alex, any watch purchase for Christmas? Me? No watch purchase for Christmas. If Grand Seiko, Zenith, or Jägerle-Coultre, depending on your possibilities to spend money, I would go for Zenith or Jägerle-Coultre. And yes, have a closer look at Zenith. What Zenith is doing is simply gorgeous. Yeah, 6 years of waiting list. The Earth might end in that time. Could be, yes, depending on some politicians in the moment. That could be true. SL, why you deleted your comment? Blah, nothing wrong behind the. I think dress watches are alternative to sport models. Yes, this is true so far, but sorry guys. The thing is, dress watches are a different category, and if you're interested in a dress watch, you can have a look at the Rolex Cellini. That's probably a nice idea, and I'm sure there will be no shortage on Cellinis. So if you're interested in a very quality, in a very good quality dress watch, go for a Cellini. Fortune Rolex Yachtmaster, rhodium dial. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Very nice, beautiful watch. If you can get one, go for it. Who would you go watch shopping with? Who? That's a good one. That's a good one. 7:21 p.m. and G Point asked me, who would you go watch shopping with? Jean-Claude Biver, Waco, or Benjamin Clymer? You know what? I would try to bring together all the three, and we would have a nice evening, a nice afternoon. But it would be fun to have Jean-Claude, Wei, and Benjamin to go shopping with, and to go into to any place on earth, to any retailer, and I think it would be tremendous fun. But if I should choose one, sorry Wei, sorry Benjamin, I would choose Jean-Claude Biver, of course, because we are big friends for many years, and I would very much like to go shopping one day with Jean-Claude. That would be nice. I've not done this before. Too many Swiss watch industry would collapse without the mainland China. That's true. China was always one of the big engines, or the big markets to keep the business up. That's true, and it's because Chinese people like mechanical wristwatches, they like the Swiss made, and they are very much into these watches because they are art and not only something they put on their wrists to show off. I very much respect towards a new generation, of Chinese buyers. They are very educated. They know very much about the watches. And if you go into discussions, they are even distinguishing watches that are fitted with a silicone hairspring versus a watch that's fitted with a traditional hairspring. And I've heard some Chinese discussing and also discussing it with me, that they would never buy a watch with a silicone hairspring, because a silicone hairspring is nothing you can replace, and they only will buy something that can be replaced in the way it is being produced at the time being. And so they are very fanatic and very enthusiastic watch collectors, and I have very much respect. So let's say one thing. We are online for 1 hour and 27 minutes. We're going to finish now slowly this chat here. The last questions concerning Rolex, please, if there are some out there. And then I will quickly start, or not quickly, slowly start to finish that session here. Waco all the way. Going shopping with Waco, why not? Yes, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Ark Poblete saying this. Also shout out for me to everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you out there. I hope you are having a good time with your friends, family, neighbors. Yes, I'm hoping very much. And if there is going to be a watch under your Christmas tree, or in one of the parcels coming through the chimney brought by Santa Claus, let me know in one of the comment sections or the public comment sections on the community. Here, should Blampa make the 50s Phantoms smaller? Yes, I fully agree. and I have told the people of Blancpain, especially to Mark Hayek, to do so. I know that he's only making smaller cases for the limited editions, but yes, very much I would recommend him to make a smaller size. Wait. Then there is one question here from Roger Alvarado. What do you think do the Rolex white gold, Pepsi, blue dial, and meteorite? I have both, and what is your take from the collective? The one with the meteorite dial is a stunner. If you have hands-on on one of those, I would go for it. This watch, I saw it live in Basel. I had one, and this watch is simply gorgeous because every dial is different to the other dial, and you will get only every watch will be a unique piece. So you will get a unique one. And the white gold one with the blue dial, the Pepsi, is something I very much like because it's distinguishing very decently from the steel model without showing off too much. Of course, yes, you could see the difference in the oyster and the Jubilee bracelet, but still the white gold version with the blue dial would be mine because I'm very much into blue. So I'm a big fan of blue. All the one following me for many years now know that. And if I would have the money, I would either buy the meteorite. Yes, I would do it because this is a simply gorgeous and stunning, beautiful watch. And also the GMT in white gold with that decent blue dial that was, by the way, presented like a little bit hidden in Basel this year. When it was standing, let's say, left to the novelty, the big novelty, the Pepsi, and it was standing there, and only a little sign showed novelty, and you had to look twice what was new, and then you said, oh, it's a GMT-Master with blue dial. Very nice one. Go for it. Roger, I would go, and yes, value retention, don't worry about this, especially for the meteorite dial. I would say this watch will be always a stunning piece. Anyhow, you can tell stories, you can take a magnifying glass, and you will discover so many details on the dial because it's simply a meteorite dial. So let me quickly go back here. Shopping with yes, Alexander, you're always the best. When do you think we will see an El Primero GMT again? That's a good question. I think they should do one. Maybe we take off some of the chronograph functions because who needs that will be probably too busy on a dial, but having a Zenith with a real GMT function, a proper GMT function would be a good guess. No. There's someone writing here, the Chinese know the movements inside out because they have copied them. They try to copy them, but believe me, it's crap what you get there. That's nothing you can compare, or it is, these are movements that are sold from Switzerland to China and being put into one of those fake watches. But I can tell you, big respect from Chinese customers and Chinese collectors. These people are very educated and they know what they're doing. Very much respect. I really have to say, chapeau. Alexander, why does the Rolex Cellini exist? Because Rolex wants to have an offer for elegant wristwatches. Very easy to answer. Michael Freeland. Hello, Michael. How are you? I'm fine. And as you see, 1 hour and 32 minutes just passed away, and I'm still commenting here. Yes, this is one of the last things. Shopping with Ray-Ban and Biver might be the fun video to make. Yes, this will be very fun. But I estimate Waco to talk so much that all the rest of us would not be able to talk anything. Because when Wei starts talking, it's really difficult to say something. And I know Benjamin is, not probably like Wei, and Jean-Claude might also be, so maybe it will be the show of Waco then. Okay, Paul Reiterer, bye Paul, thank you very much for being here. Yeah, one of the last questions, 39mm CQ versus the 50 Phantoms Barracuda, very difficult. I love both watches very, very, very much. If you can get the Barracuda, go for the Barracuda, because I think it will be much more difficult to get a Barracuda, but difficult, I don't know, it's difficult, really difficult. Both watches are really stunningly beautiful. Both watches are done in a way you couldn't do them better. Both watches are really top notch, so very difficult. But if you quickly ask me, and I have to give a spontaneous answer, Barracuda. Future of watchmaking of millennials. What do you think about the watchmaking and how they will follow the millennials? The question is, what are the millennials doing? Will they continue to wear watches or not? The biggest problem I see actually is that they don't wearing any watches anymore. So we have to educate them to wear watches, and then I think it's very easy to persuade them to buy a mechanical wristwatch, because you simply have to tell emotions. You have to sell emotions. And everything is about emotions and emotions and emotions, and this is the clue to sell any watch at any price range and so on. So if a watch has no history, if a watch has nothing to tell, if there's no heritage, if there are no emotions involved, forget it. The brand, you can simply forget it. What people are seeking, what people or what buyers or what people being interested in watches are seeking today is the entire package. Good design, good quality. Okay, we don't need to talk about quality anymore, because all the brands in the Swiss market or in the German market or also in the Japanese market, you won't get any bad watches anymore unless you are considering to buy a fake. Then you will get a bad watch. But if you're buying an original watch, the quality will be sensational, because it is hard to find a bad watch. And then it's about history, it's about heritage, and it's about the emotions and everything that is around the watch. And the better all the package is, the more the watch will sell in the end. Yes, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Rafa, great channel. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Come back very soon. All to you out there. What do you think about Give him... if Wade does that, we'll give him a sausage to eat. Did you see our video we produced last year in Basel when I was interviewing Benny from Sydney, and we were talking about the watches he had seen and I had seen, and all of a sudden Wade jumps into our interview holding one of those big cigars and saying, I've been just smoking a joint, and then he said, no, it's cigars and cigars, and we have been joking around with him, but we should probably give Wei a sausage, And I know Wei has been to Vienna last year. Yeah, it was last year with his wife, and we spent some time together here in Vienna. And I was amazed about Weiko, because he was staying in a very good hotel. We went out to eat on remarkable places, 5-star places, and what he did. Before going to bed, he went to that famous sausage dealer close to the Opera House here in Vienna, called Bitzinger. That's a really famous sausage dealer. It's outside. You're standing outside, and he's grilling his sausages, and it's called Bitzinger. And he went to Bitzinger to eat sausages before going to bed almost every night. So we really love sausages. And if you guys want to come to Vienna, don't miss to go to the Bitzinger. And if you're here, drop me a note, and if I have the time, I will follow you there. So, Riviera is paying 50 above Batman. I don't know if you have to see Daniel, do you think the Omega is going to put a GMT on the 300 meter next year, since they already did the chrono this year? Yes, I think so. They're doing this. Once again, the question from Daniel B. Is Frank Müller a deaf brand? I don't know. I've stopped being interested in Frank Müller for a couple of years for several reasons, and I can't tell you. I don't know, honestly. Good. You should do the live stream on a regularly basis. This is what I am going to do for sure. Last questions. Yes, last two questions. The future of Zenith, Defi Inventor, Chronograph GMT complications, and what do you think of Nomos and Sinn? I already said Sinn is a very interesting brand. Nomos as well, very interesting, best value for money, interesting brand in terms of design, because you get a very pure and sophisticated reduced design. And what they do is really stunning. We are planning, Luca, to do a digital to analog tour probably in Glashütte next year. I have the confirmation of Glashütte Original that they will host us. I am now trying to do this also with Lange and Söhne and Nomos, that they will host us. And if this will come true, my dream, then we will spend 2 or 3 days in Glashütte, and then you will be able to visit, and I will be more than happy to have you among us. So, the point, yes, then you will see what Nomos is doing, and you will be very astonished what they're doing, because they're really doing everything in-house. And now the question about Zenith, the future of the Inventor. The Inventor actually is still having some little issues, and quantities they are trying to bring out to the markets are not yet there. Once everything is really working as it is supposed to work, these watches will also feature small complications, I'm pretty sure, because why not adding complications on such a watch? It's feasible, it can be done. And the Inventor, I think, is an interesting timepiece. Once it will be recognized also by a greater public, because being recognized on the wrists means you have to sell watches and bring them to the markets, and this is not yet the case. The quantities are still too small, but I think the Inventor is a nice look into the future, and shows that there are also alternatives to the classical Swiss escapement. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I will now stop this chat, and I wish you all out there Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, wish you a wonderful year 2020, and I guarantee you, since this first live chat was so successful, we will do it again very, very soon. I'm happy to see you there, suggesting me what we could talk about, and we will do it. So thanks again, everybody out there, for being there. I hope I was able to answer most of the questions. Yes, we can open. I will open in the comment section of in the community section. I will open new entry with thoughts about this conversation, and I'm more than happy to read your comments over there. Thank you very much, everybody. I will close now and say goodbye from Vienna. Hope that you're having a good time wherever you have been watching me, from east to the west. Those in the west, enjoy your remaining day. Those in the east, good night. And I will go for dinner now. It's 7:41, and I think, yes, I'm pretty thirsty and I'm hungry too. So bye-bye. And once again, thank you very much for watching.